सिद्धार्थ सर बैठो ना जी, गाड़ी वाले दोनों के नीचे जी बैठो प्लीज। जीत भाई,
मुझे भाई जाओ, मुझे भाई जाओ, अरे जाओ बाहर पे आप
We are very much honored and we are very much pleased to introduce, everybody knows we are here. It should be bilingual for convenience of everybody. You can ask Urdu question and even English, but for convenience of Seema, I would prefer in her language. She born bred in this country, so her first language. But once she has been came across with Hyderabad Deccan Association, Punjabis, Urdu or Pakistani Indians. So by next election, you believe she will be speaking in Urdu and Punjabi. We are grateful to Allah Almighty because we all from the same origin, same countries. We are here and to support our constituency's leader, acclaimed leader who has proven Right Honorable Seema Malhotra. We welcome her in a new place. Today, she honored us at Hounslow Community Center, our Friday prayer. She spoke about the Muslim. Now we are here, some other brothers and sisters are also. So we are very much pleased by this gathering. And the main concern is why we are gathered. We gather about our own issues, our own concerns, and also across the board in the sport. What we can support her that why we came in this country to integrate with this bigger society. And now we have some concerns over the past, some are 40 years, some are 4 years. So we came to know that in this society is not everything sport. So, and where it stands out from the parliament. Because being a student of law, we all know, the heart of this country is the law. Even treasury solicitor, whenever we receive a letter at our firms, the logo is law at the heart of the government. So our representatives, members of parliament are the most appropriate person because they are the lawmakers. So anybody who has a question, anybody who wants to say something, Seema has about 1 hour with us. And that's why, according to our strong tradition of India, we are people of India, incredible country, being history of the hospitality. So we arrange something so to just hold Seema for more time, although she is very busy until 7th of May. And we start our program with the formal recitation of Quran, and I would request Brother Abdul Mateen to come over there and just recite the Quran for us.
I would like to start with the starting Surah Al-Fatiha. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. I would like to give some meaning of what basically translation into English, but most probably it might not be reflect the words what exactly says in Quran. So Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, we praise all worthy to Almighty Allah. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, the most benevolent and most merciful. Maliki Yawmiddin, the master of the judgment. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in, we We ask Him the help and we seek refuge in Him. Alhamdulillah, Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim. We praise Allah to guide us to the straight path. Sirat al-Lazina anamta alayhim ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Ameen. We also ask Allah to guide us to the straight path, not to the path who is wrong, not to the path who has gone astray. So we all praise Almighty Allah to guide us to the straight path and to the straight Sirat al-Mustaqim. Ameen.
Thank you very much. जैसा कि हम सबको मालूम है कि आज हमारे दरमियान हमारी बहुत ही ऑनरेबल सीमा मल्होत्रा मौजूद हैं और हम उनको हैदराबाद डेक्कन एसोसिएशन की तरफ से वेलकम करते हैं और हमारे जो दोस्त यहाँ मौजूद हैं, एक तो हमारी यहाँ की कोर टीम है, उसके साथ हम हर जगह, मैंने सीमा जी से कहा था कि जहाँ भी आप जाएंगे आपको नए चेहरे मिलेंगे। थैंक्स गॉड कुछ नए चेहरे को अपने साथ लेके आई हैं और कुछ नए चेहरे यहाँ से मौजूद हैं। आज फ्राइडे प्रेयर में आई, वहाँ उनको बहुत अच्छा मुस्लिम कम्युनिटी थी। फ्राइडे प्रेयर ऑफर के बाद वो इनके साथ बैठी हमारी स्पीच की और जो इनकी गुफ्तगू से हमें पता चला कि ये मुसलमानों के जो मसाइल हैं उनसे बहुत ज़्यादा अवेयर हैं और उनके जो इश्यूज़ हैं इस कंट्री में उनसे, तो आप इस मौके से फ़ायदा उठाएँ। आपका कुछ सवाल हो वो करें और उससे पहले हम चाहते हैं कि वो हमें कुछ अपने बारे में बताएं, अपने प्रोग्राम के बारे में बताएं और उसके बाद कोई सवाल होगा तो वो हम So I would like to request Seema to talk about yourself, the Labour Party and
Thank you very much, Ahmed, and thank you for organising this. I think also with the lessons that you will bring and the true partnership of working with politics and in the community together. It is incredibly special to be here. I have to say it's the first meeting I've had in a car wash. And it will be one I always remember, because actually politics should take place in different spaces. I just never expected it to be here. But it is, I think, a true example of how even within working together in the community, having a true story about how the businesses here, Mr. Rotwell and Paul also here, are all part of how we are together. How we are together, whatever our background. How we are together, whatever our family, whatever our business, whatever our interests. That at times like this, we can come together and share a vision of what the community should be like going forward. And in the Labour Party, also share our vision of what the country should be like going forward. And I'm also delighted that there are two young boys who I met at Cranford Primary School this morning and who are here this evening, and I do believe very strongly that young people should be aware of politics, even just knowing the election is going on, because that sometimes triggers an interest that could change their lives. I was actually at Heston Infants Junior School when I first stood in my school election, and that I didn't know then that I was going to go on to be a politician for the area, but sometimes those seeds are sown in unusual ways. And I hope that the work you do and the message you send to young people will inspire a generation to come forward here in local politics and also aspire to national politics. And why do we think this election is so important? We think this election is important because it's a choice between a more equal Britain or a more divided Britain. A more divided Britain based on wealth. We've seen the Conservatives cut income tax for the very, very wealthy. We've also seen the NHS and our other community services suffer. We've seen our own local council budget be cut by 40% in the last 5 years. That's nearly half in the last 5 years. And we can't expect a council to then be able to provide that same level of service. But also the language of our politics has become divisive based on nation and divisive based on race. Divisive based on language. These are the things that we brought in race relations legislation to combat. To actually say that within our law, within our statute, within Britain, we are going to stand for the equal rights of everybody, for the opportunity of everybody, wherever they are from, for the freedom to practice your religion, to be respected, to be able to say that we are proud of what we are as one nation. And I do believe that there is a chance of this being more under threat. If we have a parliament in 3 weeks' time, or 2.5 weeks' time, when you have the Conservatives supported by UKIM, you have a large SNP contingent dividing our nation. If you have UKIP being a strong voice and you have Nigel Farage in politics, if you then have Boris Johnson joining to divide the Conservative Party, it opens up the influence on the right in our British politics. It opens up the acceptability for people to say that I don't like the fact that people don't speak English, or I heard this on the bus, or I heard this on the train, as Nigel Farage said. I believe there's a responsibility in politics for us to be sending the language and the message of unity and of understanding. And that's why I'm proud to be in the Labour Party, a party that has championed equality, whether that's race equality, equality based on gender, or whether it's tackling discrimination based on disability, whatever the issue, and however we seek to hold people back rather than push people forward, the Labour Party has stood up for social justice. In this election, there is a lot that's at stake. There's a lot that's at stake with our health service. Our health service that has seen the cuts to the staff and to the services have a huge impact. Whether that's on rising A&E waiting times, or it's on GP appointments, or it is, as somebody was telling me today, just the constant waiting to even have a diagnosis, watching your loved one's condition get worse and worse, even before you know what's wrong with them. That puts pressure on the family. How do they care for people? How do you take time off work? Those are all things that the family has to absorb all that strain. When the family absorbs that strain, they're not able to work as much. You see the income fall. 800 families in this constituency alone phoned the National Debt Helpline last year. Those are the ones who took the courage to call, not the ones who decided they would just keep struggling to make ends meet. The food banks that have been on the rise, we might feel good giving food, and we do feel that we're sharing and that we're helping. But there are people who can't afford to feed their families, and those numbers are growing day by day, and they're in our community. They're in Feltham, where I met people and I've been out on the doorstep. They're in Hounslow, they're in Cranford, they're in Heston. They cannot afford to feed their children, or they make a choice between feeding themselves and feeding their children. So we do have a choice. And in the Labour Party we're saying, as well as investing in the NHS, that we will bring up the minimum wage to more than £8 an hour when we can. That we will make sure that young people who are unemployed for more than a year have the chance of a paid job. That we will make sure that those who have the grades to go to university will see a cut in their fees, so that they don't come out with a level of debt that then stops them even buying a home for years to come. We will see an increase in apprenticeships at 16 and at 18, because young people need to be able to make the choices for their lives in their own way. They shouldn't be forced down one route. And if an apprenticeship is what is calling to you, then you should be able to go for something. It should be of high quality. It should be recognised. It should be supported by the national government. And it should be in partnership with businesses. But as well as that, we believe that we need higher living standards for everybody. That we need those at the top of society to pay a bit more, so that there is more by way of services and more by way of fairness for those who are working hard in our communities. That's why we're fighting this election. That's why we're fighting not just to go back and be in opposition. It's why we're fighting to win back all those marginal seats, 106 seats across the country that will make the difference. Not to whether I'm re-elected, they'll make the difference to whether it's Ed Miliband or David Cameron in government. And so we have a job to do, not only here in Feltham and Heston, where so many of you are working incredibly hard, and I am incredibly grateful every day for even the words of support that we receive. It makes a huge difference to me, to my team, to others who are with me, who are volunteering, because it feels like a movement where we're going to make sure that we win. but also next door, Brentford and Isleworth. If we win Brentford and Isleworth, that's one step closer to Downing Street for Ed Miliband. If we win in Harrow, that's one step closer to Ed Miliband in Downing Street. If we win in Ealing Acton Shepherd's Bush with Rupert Club, that's one step closer to Downing Street. So if we want Ed to make those steps to Downing Street, every single one of those steps has to be another seat that we've won. So anything you can do as well to encourage your friends, your relatives, others that you know in those constituencies to vote Labour. Don't let them turn a blind eye to this election, because this election is not one where you can sit on the fence. If we sit on the fence in this election and we wake up on May the 8th and we say to ourselves, if only I'd done that tiny bit more, if only I'd called my friends in that seat where Labour lost by 42 votes, which happened in my seat last time, then that isn't something that I would want to wake up with. So I would say that this is a time, there's still 2 weeks to go. There's a lot we can do in 2 weeks. And that support from you, the blessings from you, as we work in this community, but also spreading your support throughout those seats, will make a huge difference, not just to us, but for those who don't feel that anybody is standing up for them. And I think it will make a huge difference to the future of Britain. Thank you very much.